Good morning. You're listening to Maree Gifkins on the Health and Wellness program. So today we're going to be talking a little bit differently, but we're going to talk about the fears that we know about and the fears that we don't know about. So it's quite different because normally I'm talking about foot joint mobilization or ozone or reflexology, a lot of the different modalities. I don't very often go into our emotions and feelings, but today I thought it was quite appropriate because the world is changing. The world is changing as we know it, and we have to be flexible and we have to keep moving and we have to keep changing. Nothing stays the same, but everything changes. And so we have to keep remembering that everything changes, nothing stays the same. You know, we go through seasons, we go from winter to lovely spring, then we have summer, the heat of summer, and then we go to autumn again and back to winter. So we don't have the one season all the time. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. And as you look through your life, you realize that, some things you think, it's never going to change, it's always going to be like this. And all of a sudden something changes, and it does change. And sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse. But then that changes again and it comes around. So there's always these, whether we call them cycles or waves or the cycle of life, I don't mind the way you describe it, it does happen. And so, if you're having a hard time or in a dark place and not coping with what's happening in the world at the moment or the situations that you're in, everything changes, nothing stays the same. And so I just sort of wanted to talk about the fears because there seems to be, I'm finding it, the more that people come in, it's getting more and more deeper, these emotions and feelings. And it's not surprising because it's not just New Zealand that we're having to tend with COVID-19 and all the offshoots that comes from that. And, the whole world seems to be in a bit of a chaotic kind of flux. This might be an easy word to describe things. And but comes with that is we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening. Even our COVID posters are, let's find the virus. Find it, you're not even going to see it. It's kind of like see-through unless you've got really magnetic eyes, which, it's so fine that how do you find it? You can't find it. And so it becomes, what is it, fear of the known or fear of the unknown? It's kind of, you can't just get a picture of it. Like you can't take a photo unless you can magnify it. So we have all these emotions, and as humans, that's normal. Okay, so it's normal to have emotions. If you don't have emotions, what are we? We're kind of like computer robots. If we don't show any emotion or have any emotions or have any of these natural instinctive feelings. So it's quite normal to have emotions. It's whether we can keep it in a controllable way, not to go overboard with something, and if we do start to go overboard, we start to recognise it and bring it back down again. Because if we don't, we're living in a world of complete fear, and then fear can quite often turn to anger and rage, and then before we know it, we're yelling at our loved ones or taking it out on the person in front of you because they just braked and you couldn't even see why they braked. And you start yelling abuse at them. And so usually before the anger and the abusive statements is usually some fear coming before that. And so I sort of wanted to touch on this fear of known and fear of the unknown because it was certainly brought up to me last week. Usually over the last 25, 26 years that I've been dealing with people in a health situation, they normally know what they're afraid of or know what that fear is, and it's usually a fear of the known or fear of the unknown. It's fear of the dog up the road, or it's fear of the dark, which is the unknown. You don't know what's in the darkness, so you become afraid of something you can't see. And so it's usually one or the other. It's very, very rarely in 26 years I've seen two together at the same time. But what's happening now? I'm seeing two at the same time. And it's like, wow, that means it's a double whammy. It's not just one fear. And how do I come across two of them? How do we get two of the fear of the known and the unknown? Well, we have fear of the known. It's plastered all over the news. Be afraid of COVID-19. We don't want it. And I certainly don't want it in this country. I agree with them. It's a nasty virus. It's going to affect the body, and we don't know the long-term effects. It will affect somebody's kidney with one person. It could affect somebody's lung with another person. It can affect someone's sinuses with another person. It could be their digestive tract. And it could go on and on and on for a while. With other people, it'll just go in the body and out. It won't stay. So everyone is a little bit different because we all have different bodies, different systems, different weaknesses, and different emotions going on in the body. So it's hard to tell how somebody would react to a COVID-19 infection. And so it's genuine fear to be afraid of something that could harm us, or in some people, it could kill us. So there's the fear of that known thing. And then we have what's happening with the economy, what's happening with the government. Are we going to have a change of government? We've got all these things going on. We've got fear of job losses. Maybe that might happen, maybe that won't happen. Maybe our neighbour or our children could be affected, if they've got jobs and all of a sudden they just get notice they've lost their jobs and they're trying to pay a mortgage. Or the schools stop and we've got to teach our children, but we've still got a job going on. So it's all these what if happening of the unknown. And a lot of people's minds are going, okay, I've got to have another plan up my sleeve just in case this happens, or maybe that might happen, and how am I going to survive this? How am I going to feed my children? How am I going to pay my bills? So there's a lot of this unknown fears happening with people, as well as the same time of fear of what we know about COVID. And so it's starting to kind of like take hold in people. It's in the top of their head instead of, way in the background somewhere. It's in their forefront. And fears are a nasty kind of emotion. It's okay if it's just for a few days and then it goes. You deal with it and it's gone. But this has been going on since beginning of this year. I started watching this COVID-19 since November when it first started to happen. I started watching it in China and started listening to, the talks and what was happening and people that were in the medical realm. And I started watching it then and started to realise by December, the end of December, this is serious. This is something that's going to move around the world. But you kind of don't expect it, still the same, to have such an adverse effect all the way around. The Spanish flu was around for 3 years, and this will no doubt be somewhere between the 2 and 3 years as well. So we've got the long haul. So we need to look after ourselves, and we need information. We need to acknowledge these things. Yes, I'm afraid there could be this, that, and the other thing happening. What do I do to calm myself down? What do I need to do to keep a balance? Okay, so I was looking at the bark flowers straight away as soon as last week when I started to realise that we've got these double whammies happening with fear. Because fear, the emotion of fear, will quite often trigger the kidneys. So the emotion that goes with the kidneys is fear, apprehension, nervousness, anxieties. And what does it do to the kidneys? It tightens the kidneys. The kidneys go and they suck in and they don't want to function very well. So then we can get extra fluid in the body. We can, the more serious stuff is having infections in your kidneys. We don't want that. But if we're not careful, it can lead to more complications. And of course, as our kidneys sort of tighten up and don't function until we relax, and then the kidneys will go, oh, I haven't done all my jobs, I've got to do all my housework now. And it can once it relaxes. So we've got to remember to relax, to breathe, to slow down, to smell the roses, go for a walk, look at the stars, talk to a friend, talk about nice things, not, like what I've just been talking about for the last 5 minutes. So we have to take time out and just rebalance ourselves, rebalance our system, walk on nice wet grass that always grounds us. Sit in the sun and absorb the sun deliberately. Invite the sun into your body, the heat of the sun, to absorb into your system and get that lovely vitamin D, which is good for the immune system. Because if we stay in tension and we keep our kidneys locked up, then that doesn't help the immune system. So when a cold comes along or a flu comes along, or it doesn't have to be COVID-19, it can be one of the other ones that are floating around at the moment, it will be even worse in our body. We will get more symptoms. The mucus will last longer. It'll be thicker. It'll be harder to get out. It could go into the lungs. It can, so forth and so forth. So I think you got the idea of what I'm picturing. So the more we keep relaxing and the more we come back to balance, the better off we are in the long run. And of course, as I said, with bark flowers, we talked about it maybe 2 months ago. I did a whole session on the bark flowers. So the bark flowers work on the emotions with people. So it's a very good system. It comes from England, the bark flowers. It's made from flowers. You can't get addicted to it. It works within 2 to 3 days. It's not going to interfere with medications. How simple can it be for you? It's not like you have to have it at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. There's no, as long as you take like 4 drops under the tongue 4 times a day, it's fine. And then you can take it every 10 minutes if you're feeling quite overwhelmed. So it's a nice, simple, natural thing that we can take to help us through these times. So you can get the bark flowers from one of the health shops. You can get it from me. And we just make it up for you. So depending on what you're wanting, you can have up to 7 different bark flowers in one bottle. So I'd just like to read from the book getting back to those fears, the known fear, the unknown fear. Well, I'll start with the unknown fear is Aspen. And so it's fears, fear of the darkness, fear of death, fear of thoughts of disaster, fear when alone or suddenly when among friends, fear of fear, afraid to tell her troubles to others. And fears can often be accompanied by sweating and trembling. So it's for no known reason, that apprehension, that terror on awakening from a bad dream. Look, sometimes we've forgotten what that dream was even about. Fear of going back to sleep again. Okay, so when you take the Aspen, it turns that fear into the positive. It relaxes that fear and you become fearlessness because of the power of love stands behind and overcomes all things. So the opposite of fear is love. How do we get that love into us? Sometimes it just doesn't come because we want it, or we go, oh no, I'm changing it from fear to love. Sometimes we need a little bit of help, a bit of support from loved ones, or bark flowers, or kind thoughts, or reading. It all helps to improve that love and moving that love through our body. So this Aspen helps change and brings it into the positive. And so once realised, we're beyond that pain, that suffering, the care, the worry, the fear, becomes the participants of true joy. Such faith causes a desire for adventure, for experiences with disregard for difficulty or danger. which means it's going to help turn around our emotions of going, okay, this is what's happening in the world. I need to move with the times. Okay, let's do this. How are we going to go about this? And so you have it with more with power of coming from within. So that's the unknown. So the Mules is the fear of known things. And so fear from the known reasons. So fear of illness, consequences, fear of death, fear of accidents, of pain, fear of dark, damp, cold, fear of poverty, fear of people, animals. That's where I said, fear of dogs. Fear of speaking in public, fear of losing friends. So and sometimes it's even secret fears. And sometimes we can be tongue-tied, or we have stage fright. Sometimes we blush easily. We may suffer from stammering. Thank you. Just what I'm doing. Yeah. And shyness and being timid. So it's that fear of that known. And when we take the Mules, it becomes the positive, the quiet courage to face trials and difficulties, with grace and humour. Emotions completely under control, ability to enjoy life once more without irrational fears. So we possess that love and understanding which can overcome things disliked and not understood. And so that was what I wanted to talk to you about, is if you're suffering or you're struggling and you're finding it hard and to get your head around everything that's happening, try some bark flowers. They're so simple, they're so easy, they're not expensive, they're easy to obtain. And you're not having to take it for the rest of your life. You only need probably 1 bottle. And you take 4 drops under the tongue 4 times a day. How easy is that? And, if you're waking in the night with terrors and you're not sleeping, you can take 4 drops every 10 minutes until you feel that calmness come in and you can drift off back to sleep. Very good. So that was what I was wanting to discuss with you today. I hope you enjoyed that little bit an insight. And sometimes it is a struggle, and then we listen to something or we read something, and then that gives us a new little light that comes in and we can move on again. All right, so I have a clinic in Hastings and Waipakarau, and the Hastings one is 201 King Street. And I'm in Hastings Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And Waipakarau is Monday and Friday. And my phone number is 0272 49 50 90. And I specialise in the bone structure of the feet, realigning the feet, bringing them back into a more correct position, which allows you to stand more correctly. And that allows the knee to meet in the right place, and the hip to rebalance, and the muscles to relax, and the vertebrae to come back in place. The neck rearranges itself, the shoulders the elbows, and the wrists and the fingers. I've seen it many a time with people, and that's just straightening up the feet and allowing you to walk more correctly. We need our feet in life. We need them to make a cup of tea and go to the toilet. It's the basics in life. They're so important, the feet. And I do other things, of course, as well, because I've been in this field for coming up to 26 years now. And so you get to know lots of different things. And so I also do reflexology. That's also working with the feet. And that's very good if you're not feeling very well, or you've had an infection or a bug and you're not getting over it very quickly. Quite often a good reflexology session will help relax the nervous system, coming back to its balance, and to strengthen maybe the digestive tract, or loosen up all the phlegm in the lungs, or help drain the sinuses. So reflexology is a wonderful tool in working on the feet with the reflexes that correspond to the different parts in the body. And that works pretty instantly. It's not like it's going to take 2 or 3 days to start working. It works very quickly. Quite often people can feel things in the session and things start to relax and start to work again. And so the reflexology is very nice. That's an hour's treatment. if you want to know prices, just give me a ring. I'm not dear. I'm very good with the prices, so I'm not over the top, even though there's lots of knowledge there and you can pick my brains for different things. I don't charge you extra for that. And I do the Orion Healing, and the Orion Healing is working on the soul and spirit of the person as well. That's a very lovely treatment if you're struggling in life and your life is a little bit knotted and you're wondering how to unknot yourself so you can actually move on in life. We sometimes can get quite tangled and we're not sure what's holding us back, whether it's our emotions or something we experienced earlier, or something from the gene pool holding us back, or hooks or curses even. Seen that plenty of times where there's been something going on. And bringing in, at the end of an Orion session, it's always nice balancing all the chakras for the person so they're flowing at their optimum level, and asking for God's unconditional love to come in and fill you as much as your physical and spiritual bodies can handle. And also assigning another 3 angels to you over the next few weeks to help with the healing and protection. So the Orion Healing is always a wonderful experience. And for me, not only for me, for the person as well. I enjoy it as well. It doesn't tire me out. It doesn't affect me. It, if anything, it gives me a lift to be able to help somebody through their life. And sometimes we just get stuck and we don't know what to do or where to turn, or sometimes we just need answers. And so the Orion Healing, if you're wanting to discuss a little bit more with me about that, by all means give me a ring. I'll give you my number again, 0272 49 50 90. And I do the ozone treatments with the Oxy Detox. So the webpage for the Oxy Detox is actually www.comebewell, all one word, comebewell.co.nz, and you'll find out about the Oxy Detox treatments. So that's like a sauna. You hop in the machine, the lid comes down, but your head is out, so your head's not getting overheated. And you're in there for 30 minutes, and the steam is happening the whole 30 minutes. So you start to sweat, you start to perspire, the toxins start to come out. And in that 30 minutes, there is ozone pumped in for 20 minutes. And the ozone is like oxygen on steroids. And because your pores are open, the ozone goes in through the pores and into the blood, moving around the body, killing viruses, pathogens, all the things that we don't want in there. It helps untangle the muscles as well. So injuries, sports, if you're just a bit tired, you run down, it's really good for a good top-up. It helps get more oxygen into the brain so you can think clearer. So the Oxy Detox is it's just wonderful. Something to experience. Everyone who hops in, the nervous system comes down, I reckon, about 3 pegs. So you feel a lot more calmer and more relaxed, but you still have a spring in your step. It's not like you have to go home and have a sleep. So the Oxy Detox is something it's even nice to give away for a gift voucher for a friend. If they're having a hard time or they haven't been very well, that would be a nice present for somebody as well. And so I talked about the reflexology, the foot joint mobilization. I do a sun drop therapy as well using aromatherapy. That's a very nice one as well. And I also do the abdominal massage. And so that works on the abdominal and the intestines, and the bowels, the livers, the kidneys, the pancreases. And that's very relaxing as well, and very stimulating in finding out where something's maybe holding you back. If your digestive system's not tip-top condition, you're struggling with it, then the Chinasang is ideal for that, and finding out what's sort of happening in your digestive tract allowing the energies to flow better and the blood to flow better and sort through all those digestive issues. So if you're wanting to discuss any of this with me, just give me a call, 0272 49 50 90. Thank you.